So the max exercise that I have up here requires writing a function entirely from scratch to implement a specification. Unlike a lot of exercises we do, you don't even get the function signature. You have to write that yourself. And it's a really big deal in a course like this that you can write function signatures effectively. And conversely, that you can write function calls effectively. So the max function, I think, is a function you've seen before in mathematics or lots of other places, but if you haven't, it's not too exciting. The max function takes two numbers, and it returns the larger of those two numbers. If both numbers are the same, then I guess they're both the largest of the two, and so it just returns either of them. So what we want to do here is write a function, including its function signature, that implements this specification. I also want to observe, if we try compiling this, what happens. So notice how I'm calling this function max in main as part of the testing of the function, and there is no function called max. So let's see what happens if I compile. So the first error we get, the compiler gives us a warning, which is line 21. Implicit declaration of function max. Now, the compiler doesn't know what to do with this. The word implicit declaration, we'll see what that means in a week or so. What it does is it says, okay, you're calling a function, fair enough, but I don't know of any function called max. Wait, did you mean main? Like, it doesn't know what to do, so it helpfully suggests, hey, here's a function whose name looks a little bit similar. Did you mean that one? No, I definitely did not. Okay, so it gives a warning, and then something really odd happens. So this is happening, you notice the error gets really cryptic down here. This is happening at the very end of compilation. The compiler is willing to give you a break and say, okay, this looks weird, but I'll put up with it. But at the end, it has to give up. It says, I was waiting for you to give me a function called max, but you never did. So it's undefined reference to max. I can't help you. And so we see there's that error. So I didn't compile the program. If you ever see this, what likely happens is that you were trying to call a function that does not exist at all. Check for a spelling error or something, or just check that you've written the function. So let's write the function. So the first thing I'm going to need is a function signature. It says that the name of the function is max. It takes two parameters, both integers, and its return value is of type int. So it returns an int. It's called max. It's got two parameters, int x and int y. And then here's the function body. So what I want to do is I want to figure out which of the variables x and y is the largest. So it's going to be one of two cases, either x or y. And so I think I might need an if statement here. So let's think about this. If x is greater than y, well then I guess that's the maximum. So I'll return x. Else, okay, wait, if x is not greater than y, then I guess y is the maximum. Or there's a tie. But in either case, I think y is the larger of the two. So I could say return y. And actually, I think I'm done. So I use an if statement here, and the key is that because this involved making a choice, an if statement is a good candidate for something to try. So we'll give this a try. It does compile, that's a good sign, and let's try running it. All right, the maximum of 5 and 9 is 9, looking good. Maximum of 10 and 6 is 10. Maximum of negative 187 and itself is itself. And you might notice that I've added to main enough test cases here to test at least the big three possibilities. The thing where the second thing is largest, the case where the first thing is the largest, and the case where they're both the same. Maybe a couple more tests might be helpful, like what happens if 0 is one of the numbers, what happens if only one of them is negative. But the code up here is simple enough that if you try tracing through it, you might be able to convince yourself that as long as you've tried these three major cases, it doesn't make much of a difference if things are positive or negative, because you never seem to actually be using that inside of the code itself.